Okay, everyone, here goes the ingredients that I use to make the cornbread dressing. I have self-rising cornmeal, white. I have some celery. I have a pack of turkey drumsticks. I have a can of cream of chicken. I have milk. I chose 2%. You can actually use whole milk or whatever your choice of milk is. I have croutons, onion, eggs, bell pepper, portrait seasoning, ground sage. In addition to these, I also will be using some seasoning salt, garlic powder, and black pepper to add to my flavoring. I washed off the drum legs, the turkey drum legs. Now I'm going to put them in this pot of water to boil the extra dirt off of them. So I just made sure the water is actually covering the legs, and I'm going to let this boil for about 10 minutes. And while this is boiling, I'll start making the cornbread to go in the oven. Cornmeal in the bowl measured out. Now I'm going to be putting 6 tablespoons of vegetable oil. I'll be using 3 cups of milk. I'll be cracking 2 eggs in this same cup. I did go off the instructions that were on the back of the cornmeal bag, and I times everything by 2. So instead of 3 tablespoons of vegetable shortening, I used 6. I did not use the sugar, which is optional, because I added a tablespoon and a half of butter to the pan that I'll be baking the cornbread in. Okay, so while I'm waiting on the tablespoon and a half of butter to melt in the oven, I'll be blending up the cornbread to add to the pan. So I'm pretty much just making sure all of this is mixing up. Okay, now here is the pan that I had the tablespoon and a half of butter melting in, and I had this in the oven on 350. Now I'm going to add the cornmeal to the pan so I can get ready to bake the cornbread. You can move it around a little bit if you want to mix the butter up with the mix, it really doesn't make a difference. Now this will be going in the oven. Okay, so here goes the turkey drumsticks that we put in the water earlier to boil to get the extra dirt off of them. Now I'll be taking this water and draining it completely out, rinsing the turkey legs off, and then I'll be putting new water back in here to start preparing the turkey broth for the dressing. Okay, so this is after I poured the other water out of the turkey legs, added new water, and rinsed the turkey legs completely off. Now I'll be adding the onion, celery, and bell pepper that I chopped up earlier. Okay, this is the actual broth right here. I have, like I said before, the celery, onions, and green pepper mixed in here. I also have the turkey legs, the portrait seasoning, sage. I have some seasoning salt and garlic powder. This is the part where you actually want to taste the juice, the broth, and make sure that the flavoring is to your expectations. This is like the most important part to your cornbread dressing turning out right. If this flavor is off by any means, this will throw your whole entire dressing off. Okay, I just pulled the cornbread out the oven. I had it in there for about 50 minutes on 350 degrees. Now I'll be breaking this down and putting it in an aluminum pan to get ready to mix everything in once the broth is done. Okay, so I broke the cornbread down and put it in the pan. These was the croutons from earlier that you saw. I broke these down as well, and this will be getting added to the pan with the cornbread. Okay, so the broth been cooking for about 40 minutes. This is how it should look to show that your seasoning and flavor is in there. It has now a darker color. The meat is tender and it's ready to get mixed together with the cornbread and the croutons. Okay, this is the final step. What you see in the pan is the turkey meat from the broth. You see the cream of chicken and also the celery, bell pepper, and onion that we added to the broth. Now we're gonna add some sage. You can taste this to see how much sage you want. Also some portrait seasoning. And you can do the same with this as well. Taste it to see how much you want to put in there. Okay, so this is how it looks once everything is mixed together. Now it's ready to go in the oven. I put it in the oven on 400 for about 35 to 40 minutes. Okay, here's the dressing. It's been in the oven for about 40 minutes. This is the outcome. If you want the top a little more crispier, you can put it back in the oven